I used the My GM tool on Puckpedia, and I built a couple of different lineups for the Oilers just to sort of illustrate how much cap space they could have to spend this summer. Then we can talk about some potential free agents. So the first one I did was Evander Kane is back. And the playoffs go well, so you're fine keeping Evander Kane, and Adam Henrique's back too, because I do think there's a world where if the playoffs go bad, you could look to dump a guy like Adam Henrique or move on from him. But if Kane's not bought out, Henrique stays. They have this new guy, David Tomasek.
Yeah, big D.
And they want to run with a full 13 forwards, 7 defensemen, 2 goalie roster. They pay Bouchard. We're not arguing about this. This is just my prediction. They pay Bouchard 9.5. Do we have the first lineup? So this is what I have them at for the first one. It's a full lineup here. 7 defensemen, 13. This comes with $925,000 in cap space. So you bring up Savoy. Again, the forward group is largely the same outside of that. You don't have Jeff Skinner, but Janmark's here for a full year. The blue line, I have Emberson at 1.3, Bouch at 9.5. This has $900,000. I do realize that Maxim Berezkin,
who?
The Russian guy who's lighting up KHL.
Yeah, something like that.
Berezkin. I stumble on his name every time. But you could swap him for Max Jones because he'd be an entry-level contract. And I did talk to Bruce Kurlock about this. He said he thinks Berezkin's here, and he said he is a top 9 player.
Okay,
so,
right away?
Yep.
Interesting.
So, again, swap him for Jones. You have $1 million then in cap space because it's an ELC. And that's kind of what your lineup's looking like. There is a world where you can create some cap space if you're the Edmonton Oilers. That's the second lineup I built. It is basically Max Jones is off. Noah Philp's not here because you're going to run with a bare minimum 12 forwards, 7 defensemen, and 2 goalies, and you have bought out Evander Kane in this scenario. This lineup here, which again, the top 9 with Maxim Berezkin. Fourth line is kind of whatever you want the fourth line to look like right now. You need to sign 1 forward in this scenario, and you have $4.5 million in cap space.
So, sorry, just to clarify, this is you not signing anybody. This is just you showing what the roster could be without making free agent moves.
Without a free agent move, this is Evander Kane bought out. This is Tomasek in your lineup. You're going to run 12, 7, and 2 as again, you're not going to carry a full lineup, call it.
Gotcha.
You have $4.5 million to fill. Call it that final spot in your lineup. What's interesting is when I go pull up Frank's article on, what some projected free agents are going to get, these are the free agents who fall into that $4 to $4.5 million range. You have Mikhail Granlund. Next on the list would be Jonathan Drouin. Okay, or Yanni Gourde as well. Drouin, Gourde, Roslovic, Taylor Hall, Pius Suter, Alex Iafallo, and then he has Trent Frederick projected to 4.41 over a 4-year deal. Would you sign Trent Frederick to that?
Yeah, I think I would. But we got to see him play, obviously, but just...
Yeah.
I love how all in you are on him like I am.
Well, you got your jersey. You already
committed.
lost Holloway, so I got to back you up on this one.
Okay, we can't lose this guy.
No, we can't. Juja, Holloway, now Frederick. It can't be the trifecta. But I would keep him just based off the players you said. Like any of them that much better? Like would any of them be an upgrade? And like obviously we got to see what he fully is, and hopefully we see that sooner rather than later. But I think the Oilers maybe also would be way more intrigued to do it after how poorly it's gone so far, him not being able to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think they'll overpay him. Like that $4 million seems like a decent price. If he gets anything higher than that, then I'd be okay. Good luck in St. Louis, Trent.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting. 4.1 again. We haven't seen him play as an Oiler yet, so that is the one thing.
It's coming.
But if it works,
it will.
Then yeah, maybe $4 million. If you view him as a guy who can play in your top 6 as a winger, like maybe he's also 27. So I do think there's a world where maybe he takes a shorter term deal to try rebuild some value as an Oiler, and he sits there and goes, the tough part on these is like when a guy hasn't made a lot of money in his career, you'd think he'd get intrigued with like
you give him the extra year to bring the cost down.
And also too, like, so his season's obviously not gone well for him. He would have had 2 close to back-to-back 20-goal seasons. Say he has a good playoffs. Like, he could be a guy that a team's like, we'll give you $5 million.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And you might have to take it based off how the regular season went. It's like recency biased almost.
Yeah, my thinking was more like, again, at 27 years old, cap shooting up, if you were to go to him and be like, hey, would you take 2x3 to stay in Edmonton and just play on a cheaper deal, take a chance with us, go on some runs, and when you're 29, you could be getting, $8
million.
yeah, like who knows what you
Something
end,
crazy.
right? Like, are you going to get some team to bite on you because you won a Stanley Cup here and have a 30-goal season under your belt now? And again, not that I fully believe Trent Frederick is capable of that, but like Pat Maroon almost did, right? Like you can slide in this Oilers top 6 and find your way to 30
Just
goals.
gotta, keep working on the brother.
Yeah.
He's got our back.
Trent's brother loves Edmonton.
Yeah, maybe we should make him a regular on the show.
We should.
That would be
Pay him $1,000 a hit and say that better be a sweetheart deal in the summer.
90% of that's going to Trent, right?
Yeah. Wink. Can we get the Oilers in trouble for cap circumvention? Anyways, I just thought it was interesting to run through the numbers. I know I get down the rabbit hole of being a little too nerdy with all of this stuff, but then the summertime's a full playoff run away too, which can obviously change things. But yeah, the idea of, if you want to flash out that lineup one more time, AB, like the second one I did. If you get Frederick for $4 million and you're running McDavid, Hyman, Arvidsson, Draisaitl, Frederick, Savoy, Nuge, Podkolzin, and Bearskin, and then Henrique, Tomasek, Janmark, or maybe that's Corey Perry in the Janmark spot.
Yeah.
Wonder about how many penalty killers you have now that I kind of like read that all through. But still, that's like a pretty good forward group. And you have the money to do it. You just got to make the choice to buy out Kane.
A lot of unknowns.
Yeah, there's a few question marks, but obviously,
Who are your question marks?
well,
there's
Bearskin.
the two new
I was
Tomasek.
told he's better than
Ilya Kovalchuk.
I was told he's better than Anton Slepyshev. If you're getting the
High
second
bar.
coming of Tony Slep,
High bar.
I don't know if he skates as well as Slepyshev.
Slep can move.
Yeah, he was
That's
a
fair.
skater. But also, too, like, sorry, Aaron, if you just pull it up one more time. There's an interesting layer to this, and someone, McDowell, brought it up. Goaltending is obviously going to be a topic of conversation, I think, no matter what happens in the playoffs. Like, they're probably going to have to do something. And I wonder if you could cash in quotation marks, on, like, Calvin Puckett. Like, hey, like, who wants a $1 million goalie, and we'll take your late second or third round pick or something. You know what I mean?
no, there's no way.
You don't think
He's
so?
way too replacement level for that.
I just think, like, they're going to have to move on from him.
You're going to have to lose one of your $9 million contracts.
Well, it won't be helpful.
That's the only way it works. Like that, what you just put on there is scary as shit.
For like a forward group?
We have Savoy, rookie, KHLer, and the second coming of Joachim Nygaard.
That'll be it. But he could skate
So
too.
it's like, and we're like, I'm in. Like, this is awesome. Like, there's,
But this lineup
is all wishful thinking.
But this lineup is with $4 million to spare. And
Yeah.
again, you could swap, like, I have Tomasek in there because he's signed, but like you go sign a veteran for $1 million. Like, do you feel better if that's Corey Perry with Janmark at center on your fourth line? Probably. Which is probably the insurance policies you build in here. You're going to sign some other vets. I don't think they are just going to, truly trust Tomasek and Bearskin to have two roster spots and be like, we don't need any depth.
Yeah.
I did feel underwhelmed when I saw the email from you about this, but now that you say, like, they've not added anyone, this is just what it possibly could be. Like, you can get that roster up to 6-7 million if you take out the rookies and sign a couple of guys and figure it out from there. Like, the Tomasek will be interesting. Stan Bowman obviously has a pretty good history of signing European players.
Yeah.
Panarin, obviously, the standout, but Kubalik was someone they signed from Europe as well. He had a 30-goal season as a rookie. Dominic Cahoon.
Yeah, and he worked out for them for a little bit.
He had 14, 15 goals for them in his rookie season. He
does
too bad.
well. The only thing about Tomasek that, like, again, these guys are always the great unknown, and I do find it funny that, like, we're always a lot higher on them now, and then you get 2 weeks into training camp, and it's usually like, oh, yeah, there's a reason that this guy hasn't played a single pro game in North America, and he's 29.
Yeah.
And the other thing that concerns me with Tomasek is, like, these last 2 years in the Swedish Hockey League are great, and I get the point of, like, you don't luck into a good season in that league. It's a really good league. Okay, but why did it take him until 28 years old to finally find any sort of offense in any league, really? That was the first time he scored 20 goals in a season. I know they play shorter seasons there, but again, if you're going to make the jump to the NHL, you better be elite in those other leagues. And I just look at this and go, these are the first 2 years, and again, his 10-year pro career that he's been elite outside or elite in one of these European leagues.
How many goals did he score?
24 in 47 games. I think that projects to like a 12-goal scorer in the NHL, doesn't it?
It might even be pretty high.
You would take that.
Yeah, I guess.
As a four-liner, you would take that.
I'm more intrigued by the 6'5" guy they signed, Samak. Samochevic.
So here's an interesting layer. I saw this yesterday on X from Russ Jericho. The team that he came from is coached by Craig Woodcroft, who is Jay's brother. Oilers not had a good history of getting
a Trojan
players.
horse then.
Okay, so that also then leads me. Frank's top 50 free agents. The full top 10, by the way, Marner, then Besser, and then John Tavares.
Oh, $8 million for Tavares.
Oh, yeah, the projection is, 3 by 8.
That's kind of like what Joe Pavelski got, no? When he was at this
Yeah,
stage
he was
of his
getting
career?
3 by 6, I think,
3
was
by
his
6.
deal with the...
And I guess with the inflation of the cap going up,
Yep.
similar. It's not that bad, I guess.
Duchesne, Neil Pionk is the first
Pionk.
defenseman on the board. That was a guy we talked about the Oilers kind of needing until they got Jake Wallman. And now you're not sitting there talking about that at all, really. Sam Bennett at 6 projects out to be a 6 by 6.3, which is actually a pretty good deal because even if he ages to be, and again, he's how old? 28. It's like a pretty young UFA. Even if he ages to just be a third line player, by the end of that deal, that's actually what a good third line player will get paid.
Yeah.
So I don't mind Bennett at 6 by 6.3. Nick Ehlers is in at 7. Brad Marchand at 8 projects to a 3 by 7.8.
Ehlers is a shock.
Oh, that's
who's getting the money in San Jose. Good player.
yeah, really
Very
good
good
player.
player.
I could also
Injury
see
prone, but good player.
Yeah.
I could see either him or
Danish.
I could see him or Bennett
Yes.
or both ending up there. And San Jose just being like, what do you guys both want? 8 mil apiece? Don't care. Sure. 8 by 8. Here you go. And like Bennett's a guy who I think that character you'd like in a young locker room. And Ehlers is a guy who you saddle with one of the youngsters and watch him rip 30 goals.
Yeah, he'd be a good fit there. I almost think the other Florida player there, Ekblad, might be the one who would go to San Jose.
Yeah, I think
Rather than
he's the
Bennett.
guy. He's my biggest buyer beware on this whole top 10.
Oh, big time.
Because I think you're right. Some rebuilding team, or even worse, I could see a team like Detroit going to him and being like, how does 8 by 9, we'll give you the Chikrin deal. And boy, are you going to regret that contract.
And you get to play with Justin Hall or Jeff Petrie. Pick your poison.
But to tie this back into the... What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that subscribe button.